My name is Kevin, and I'm an 11-year survivor from Toronto, Canada. With me is my co-host, Jess from Pennsylvania. Hey, Jess, how are you?
Hey, Kevin. I'm doing great today. Uh, yeah, nice to see. Nice. Thanks for everybody for joining. I am a 3-year stroke survivor living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the United States. And like Kevin said, we are hosting Stroke of Reality podcast to help others, not only stroke survivors, but anyone going through a recovery journey, to help provide resources and just a good old listen.
Yeah, absolutely. And people, we read a lot of this stuff out there, and not only in our own web area, but also with other people's websites and things that, especially on some of the social media that's out there, and they talk about questions that we're going through. So today we're doing like a part two. Our last podcast, we answered some questions like why am I always tired and things like that. So there were a few more questions we thought we could answer today, and hopefully this will help you navigate, as I said, your journey, and hopefully give you some answers and results to how you could better yourself as you try to recover. And recovery, as you said, is forever. So, these answers that we're going to give you are things that you're going to have to be patient with, take time, and, trust your own self, trust your own body of where you're going. So I'll let you lead off, Jess. You have a question that you've seen that you want to maybe
Yeah.
get more dive into?
Yeah. And just to go back to that why am I tired question, I'll tell you right now it is gray and gloomy and rainy in Pittsburgh. And that is not helpful for my fatigue. And I am tired today. But the first question I've got for you today, Kevin, is what's one thing or a few things you wish people understood about recovery? Whether that's
Yeah,
people within your inner circle, friends, family.
yeah, great question. I think one of the things for me specifically is my stroke was not as prominent like other people. It wasn't so defined where I had a droopy face, I didn't have aphasia, I didn't have all the remnants of stroke.
Mhm.
I know when I had a lot of visitors, I think people were worried because in the advertisement and the things we see online, we see on TV, they give you this picture that my face is gonna look like a monster, that
Mhm.
I'm gonna be like lying in bed and I can't get up, I can't walk, all these things. And I know when my friends came, there's a lot of fear to come because they thought, okay, how am I gonna handle seeing this? And I think that's one of the things, a misnomer is you don't really know what people are like from the outside in. And that's in general in life. We say never judge a book by its cover. I think the stroke is the same way. I think the big thing people should understand is go with an open mind and keep an open mind to the whole process. Do realize that we are injured, we have a disability. The injury is you can't see it because it's inside our brain. Is the first part. The second part, there is the physical. Like Jess and I both have physical disabilities. I don't walk well still. I was in a wheelchair when everyone came to see me in the hospital because I was paralyzed. So that kind of gave them a sense of, okay, Kevin's in a bad spot here. He can't walk.
Mhm.
And that was one of the things that, helped when people first came to meet me and as I got to know. I think the big thing for me is just, ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions of how we're feeling, how we're doing. I think with my friends, that was the only thing they did and didn't. I think they're looked at me and after maybe their second visit or after we saw each other, after I got out of the hospital, they kind of thought I was normal again, which I was proud of the fact that my recovery looked so good that
Mhm.
I did look normal. But at some point, there are things like, running, walking, and all these things I couldn't do to that level. So I think for anyone that's going through and you're visiting a friend and looking at, don't be afraid to ask the tough questions
Mhm.
early. Let them explain to you what is going on, what is happening, and from there on in, you can work through it in time. Looking at someone, maybe you see them a month later, let them know you think they've done well. We need our spirits picked up at all times, and we want to know that our recovery is working, and that we're not going to feel good, like totally feel good. We're still disappointed. We're frustrated with the whole process, but knowing that our friends can see significant changes, and don't lie to them, just be honest. Hey, you're looking better. What's happening? What have you done? And that's one of the things I think that for me is what I don't think a lot of people realize is what's really going on upstairs and how we really feel.
Mhm.
And thankfully for me, my friends, knew who I was and they were able to, decipher it. Though, as I said, a lot of them thought I was back to normal when I got outside. I saw friends at the golf course and stuff like that. Within a 3 month period, work when I went back in the office, they just treating like normal. So yeah, that's one of the things that I really want people to understand. How about
Yeah.
you? Like you've gone through so much in 3 years, your
Oh yeah.
friends, family, and everything. What has sort of been what's been kind of misstrued about your recovery or your stroke in itself?
Yeah, I think to piggyback off of what you said that, it's invisible. I unfortunately had a significant cognitive deficit from my stroke, and it impacted my memory, it impacted my speech a little bit. And you've seen me yawn, so that's a deficit. I yawn uncontrollably. So I promise you're not boring me when I do it. And that's something that, I've had to explain to people too. And it's hard for those who have not gone through what we've gone through to understand that the cognitive deficits are impactful and significant, and they just don't get it. And so understanding that it's not on purpose that I forget, a lunch date, or it's not on purpose that I'm running late, or it's not on purpose that I'm yawning through a meeting. It's, those types of things that I wish people would understand and allow that grace, because it is our brain's healing, and that's just part of the package.
Yeah, absolutely. We go through a lot of things, and I think the other thing I talked about in some of my other support groups is, our mind's running at 100 miles an hour right now because we're trying to relearn everything. If you have little children, think of them as they try to get older. They're always asking why and all that stuff. We're kind of like that. We just don't ask why. We're just frustrated because we know why already. We just
Yeah.
don't can't get to that place. And patience is always going to be one of the things that, we're not expecting. We understand you're not going to get it as friends and family or, even strangers. It's just something we have to deal with. And, your patience is going to be admirable. And, we're hoping that you can do that. I know with Jess's family in mind, they've been very patient throughout this whole ordeal. And it does impact our immediate families. And I can't even imagine, what goes through their minds and what they go through as well. So, yeah, that's the sort of the misnomer with stroke and the recovery and the process. People will say, are you back to normal? I don't think there ever will be a normal. It'd be like someone breaking a leg, an arm, just broke her fingers just a while
Correct.
back, and part of the problem is that the recovery is only you're never gonna get 100% back. I know my nephew broke his leg. He'll never be 100% in the leg. He tries. He played very high level hockey, and I know it impacted him in some of the aspects of his skating and things, but that's just part of recovery in the body. So hopefully that answers the type of question. We're not expecting people just to be cater to our every needs, and we're not expecting people to baby us. I think that's the last thing we want. Understanding, you do understand as much as you can because obviously lived experience, which Jess and I have, are things that people aren't going to understand, and we get that. We understand that you haven't had a stroke, so how are you supposed to feel? There is no book out there that's going to say, hey, they're supposed to feel like this. No, every person is different. Jess has gone through her differences as I have, and her family's the same. So I hope, as I said, hope that kind of gives you guys, your listeners, a better understanding.
Yeah, I always
So,
say, when people ask questions, or my mom or caretakers, I always say, I'm going through this for the first time just like you. So We'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Jess. So one of the things I've seen is the thought process on balance. I know both of us have had to relearn to walk. I think you're still going through some of the some of the balance issues, as am I. Things like devices like walker canes and things like that. What's your kind of feedback thought on using those kind of tools and the ideal of balance and when will you get it back and how can you get your balance back?
Yeah, it's a loaded question, Kevin. So,
Yeah.
balance. Like Kevin said, I'm still working on recovering with my balance. So, I work every day uh, doing balance exercises. I go to a physical therapist every week, a personal trainer every week to specifically work on balance in my core and, figure out that equilibrium. I recently experienced a fall. Walking home one day from the city. I got off of the local train stop, and unfortunately, I lost my balance and I fell and broke my left ring finger, which is on my affected side. So that was crummy, but thankfully, 6 weeks later now, the bone is healed and I'm able to return back to all of my therapies. So because of that, I do have a cane and I will be using it, to help for safety. So I think when it comes to balance and when it comes to safety, I feel we should all use a device, whether it's a cane or a rollator or a walker, or make sure you have somebody near you when you're walking, just, for safety issues. I've been trying to look into a balanced dog, a service dog, because how cool would that be? But unfortunately, no balanced dog yet. I'll let you know if I get further.
Get a greyhound, you can ride it, eh?
Yeah. I hope that
Yeah,
answers your question.
I agree with Jess. Balance, I'm still suffering through some parts of it, especially now that I can golf. Balance becomes a huge issue because of your movement in your body. It's something we've talked about in my support groups as well. And part of the reason I brought that up is should you use a cane and walker? Absolutely. I probably was against it for myself personally because I thought, I was a tough guy. I can do it. Secondly, I didn't want it just didn't work with the way I was walking, and I guess, you know, stupidly, if you want to call it, I should have for the first, month at least had that safety net, as Jess said. Again, we talked about something in the last podcast about know your body, know your strengths. And you got to trust yourself in a lot of ways, but don't trust yourself to a point that you're not going to have that safety net. Have the safe. I'd rather have people have a safety net than have none at all. So we're not acrobats in, walking between a building that's 100 stories high. You're going to walk into like a crowd. You're going to walk in malls. You're going to walk on the street. You're going to walk in, even on your driveway. If you have a walker or a cane, I said you take it. There's a point when you're going to learn to do without the equipment available and try to walk on your own without assistance, then have someone with you. Like I know when I was walking up and down stairs, my wife stood behind me. Now, it frustrated me because she stood behind me because she didn't trust me, but she shouldn't have trusted me because I hadn't proven to her that I'm capable of doing that. Yes, the hospital, my rehab center trusted me enough to go home, but they knew
Mhm.
I had a support system just like Jess has with herself. She has a partner that's there, so at least there's someone there to bail us out if there is issues. But my recommendation with balance is try the different tests that they provide. Ask your physio, to teach you things to work on balance. There most balance in general life is standing on one foot. And if you can stand on one foot, like a yoga move, then your balance is really good. If you kind of bull weevil off, then that's where you have to learn balance and work on your core. So those are the things with balance. You have to work and exercise on core muscle strength. You have to work with a physiotherapist to teach you, how you can, stand straight up. Getting out of a chair, how do you do that just without help? All these things is part all balance. Now,
Mhm.
balance is made up of a couple of things. One is brain, obviously, teaching your body what to do. The other is from a physical standpoint. So your back muscles, your butt, your hamstrings are all part of the equation. They need to connect, and as they connect together, they will give you the strength to stand up. They give you the strength to walk. If you
Mhm.
really have to think about walking, and the steps you need to take as you walk, that tells you your balance is still off. Okay, so that's one of the things that you need to understand, that if you have to think about walking without doing it naturally, then you might have to look at maintaining a walker and cane. I know there are a different number of canes. There's the four prong, there's the regular knob one. Go to the four right away. That's just like another foot. A four prong starts you off, and then you can graduate into a different bottom, and then down to a one stub bottom cane, and that helps you graduate into your balance and as you get better. But again, work with your physio people, work with your doctors, get them to examine you, get tested. If you're not unsure yourself, I didn't, and I'm telling you I should have, but I didn't because again, my physical disabilities altered
Because you're
very quickly.
stubborn.
Yeah, I'm stubborn too. And I thought I could do everything. And yeah, I learned I tripped and fell a few times, and it's not pleasant. Thankfully I didn't break anything, but part of it is just falling. It's embarrassing too, especially in public, uh, and tripping on different things. So, yeah, for
Mhm.
balance, I just suggest you work with people to get your balance better. But I also recommend you need to do stretching and exercising your body so that you can get stronger. Walking is not, we take it for granted based on the fact we just learned how to walk, and you could be in any physical shape to walk. But obviously, the better fit your legs and butt are, your back, then you're going to be able to walk better as you move forward. So, hopefully that'll help you guys in terms of understanding balance is a key to, I guess having that freedom to be able to go wherever you want. So, no, I want people to understand that from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Jess, you've heard that you want to ask?
Yeah, I've seen this question quite a bit in different stroke groups and chats and whatnot. And I want to ask you because I feel like this is a completely subjective question and it goes all across the board. And it's, has anyone ever fully recovered from stroke? And I think,
Wow.
with this one, it's, what does full recovery mean? And I think that can be different for everybody. In my opinion, Kevin, is what is full recovery? What do we, what does the subject or patient feel full recovery is? What is return to normal? And we've talked about that before, and what is normal anyway? So, Kevin, what do you think about this?
Yeah, normal. If you go in the world today, I think if we look at stroke 30 years ago, a lot of the measurements is based on a 50, something that was done in the 50s. The basically lift your arm up, do this, do that, and then you're kicked out of rehab. That's normal in the way doctors have prescribed it. Life has changed. What is normal? I think normalcy is what we all want to have. And I believe each person has a different normal. Obviously, Jess and I have had different strokes. Hers is a lot more severe than mine was. I think I'm in the small five, maybe 15%, 5 to 15 percentile of recovery that has got me back to about 90% of the person I was, meaning I didn't have cognitive. So that's A1 because my mind could start recovering my body very quickly. For most people, recovery takes a long time because your mind is not ready. Think of little children trying to learn to walk. They haven't comprehended everything that needs to be part of the walking strategy. And, for me, 90 is good because, I can still go out and golf. I can bowl. I did try hockey, and the sports is what I love. I can cook normal. I didn't lose my taste buds. I have to be careful with my left hand because I'm still weak in the left hand, and I couldn't walk with a plate. I mean, I'd be shaking up and down, right? I remember I was helping at a homeless shelter one day and I had to take 2 glasses of juice over to some people, and
Mm-hmm.
the juice in my right hand was fine, but I tried to carry it with two hands. My left hand, the
Uh,
juice was bouncing in and out. And people must have looked at me thinking, "Holy, that guy's really spastic." And it was one of the things that really tried to make me strengthen my arm so I could walk better with it. But I still don't trust my arm enough to do that.
mhm.
So I think normal for me and what normal for Jess is will be different, and it will be for all the different stroke survivors. And just because where you can recover to, I know Jess has kind of showed your hand. Her left hand is still still in a very vulnerable position where, will it get back to normal? Well, Jess is working on that. It's going to take years of recovery. Like mine is like that. My left hand is back to semi-normal, but I still have tightness in my elbow area, and I have
Mhm.
tingling in my finger. So those kind of things are still part of not feeling normal. Will they get Will they go away? I don't think the tingling will ever go away. I think it's part of what I have to accept. The tightness, I just need more massage therapy, which I should get to, and
We
get
all
rid of
need
the heavy duty knots that are in here, and I think it'll loosen up
that. Hmm.
quite immensely, and maybe I'll get that strength back that I want. Um, so with normal, for me, is acceptance for yourself. What makes you feel normal at the point of? So
Hmm.
I hope that everyone that listens to this, caregivers included, doctors, therapists, I don't think we can settle for normal. I think we just need to try to improve every day. We should not be at a point where, okay, this feels good, that's enough. You just
Yeah.
want to keep improving. You may not, and you may. It all depends. Especially if your body's not completely, as Jess showed her hand, I don't think she'll ever settle say, okay, I'm not going to work on my hand anymore. I know, knowing Jess, she's going to be stubborn like I am, and she's going to keep working that hand
Oh
until
yeah.
she's old and gray, which will be a long time. But that's a determination that you have to have. You have to be persistent
Hmm.
in your recovery. You have to keep asking questions to the professionals and getting help. There are a lot of online stuff. Go to a gym. There are different things. Buy a weight. Work with it.
Hmm.
Strength is going to come. Will she get the dexterity that she had before? Hard to tell. I mean, she's only been 3 years in. I'm hoping when she gets to where I am at 11 years, that her hand is a lot better. And that's the only thing I can say about recovery and how long will you ever get better? I hope for everyone that watches this, you get as close to normal as possible, that
Hmm.
there is some acceptance to it, but I hope that people will not take that for the total, okay, that's it. I'm not
Yeah.
getting any better. I want you to keep going. And if for nothing, just for your own health reasons, just to stay
Hmm.
better, right? Like even walking, if you can walk, set a goal. If you can walk 10 feet, next time try 11. Next time try 12. And I know Jess with her hands and her walking, she sets goals and she wants to, try to keep improving. So I hope that answers people's question. I know I got a little bit long-winded, but yeah, I don't think we recover to the point. I think we got to keep pushing ourselves and don't be happy or satisfied with that long, that short piece at the end of it all. How about
That's
you,
right.
Jess? What's your take right now on your recovery and where you're at?
Yeah. So I agree with you, Kevin. Just keep pushing and just do better than you are, today. Push, do better, do more, a little bit more every day, and you'll get better than your baseline. And that's, I think, the target. I know where I'm at. My goal is to get more functionality in my left arm and hand. Right now it's I don't have the function in my arm and my hand, and I don't have the dexterity. So that's really what I'm pushing for, in my new recovery, especially since I broke my finger and have to get back, from that too. So more to come with that. I'm going to, continue walking with a cane for safety reasons. I do the treadmill. I started, sitting in an infrared sauna to help with, blood flow, things of that nature. I'm going to keep doing better, Kevin. I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to get faster. I'm going to get smarter, wittier. You're not going to be able to handle it. So, yeah, we
Yeah.
are Stroke of Reality, and we want to talk about the reality of stroke recovery from our personal experiences and answer questions that come through chats, that come through our podcast, things of that nature. So please, make sure you check us out and check out the links that we have below for resources as well. And write in your questions, send us anything you want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a footnote to everything we've been talking about with recovery that way. There are so many medical devices out there right now. I won't get into all the different companies I've met and things like that, but check them out. There are a lot of hand device things that are out
Mhm.
there. 11 years ago when I was out there was very little in terms of hand devices, medical devices. Canada is not a big supporter of it. There's a lot of legal things that we go through in Canada that we just can't import stuff and do it. So, that's one of the things that we hope that'll change as time goes. But
Mhm.
look into those uh, uh, medical device products. I'm not saying everyone's great. I think you have to test them out and read the reviews and see what people say about trying to recover from that standpoint. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And when we're talking about balance and things like that, that's another thing. Just don't be afraid to ask for help. You don't have to do it all on your own. Just start to work slowly. A lot of people have dogs now, so walk your dog. Even if it's in your yard, just down the driveway, just get used to that whole concept. But if you have a dog that's very frisky and likes to run, then I wouldn't suggest you start like that because that's going to be one of those things that you're not going to be able to keep up, and the dog's going to drag you to wherever, and you're going to have to let go and probably do like Jess falls. So no, it's
We
it's
don't
one
want
of those things. Absolutely. Anyways, thank you very much for listening to, our podcast, and hopefully anything we've talked about. If you have any questions, send it to us. And if there are any questions about just anything you're
that.
concerned about in your recovery, feel free to ask. We'll hopefully cover it in topic as we produce these podcasts on a week to week basis and get them out there for you, the listeners. And we just want to help you. Our lived experience is, we're about 14 years together in terms of stroke recovery. So we have different thought processes. When I put this together, I brought Jess on board because first of all, we met in person, and I know what she's going through. But she's giving you the perspective from the U.S. and some of the healthcare systems that they go through. I try to look at the Canadian version, try to help, and try to explain what goes through there. And there are a lot of people worldwide going through stroke. So, all I can ask is you just keep pushing yourself, keep going forward. Don't give up the battle,
Yeah.
and hopefully you'll get through and recover to some kind of normalcy, as we talked about a few minutes ago, about trying to find that normalcy that makes you feel good. But don't be
Mhm.
satisfied with that. Always want to strive for more. I'll look at it like money. If you're making money, don't be satisfied with making $5. Try to make 10. That's how our world works, right? It's just, always striving for more. So continue that.
Yeah.
So on behalf of myself and Jess, thank you for joining us. We will
Yes.
look forward to speaking to you again and bringing you some more information on, what's out there. What can we do to help you guys as you recover and go through your journey of stroke?
Yeah.
Take care, be well, stay safe.
And be kind to your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Con your mind.